You need to work very hard at thinking about how you make your customers successful. Because by enabling them to be successful, by helping them to be life-enabling or life-simplifying or helping them navigate through the complexity of your life, they will come back to you again and again and again, and you will be more trusted, and therefore you will earn more revenue as a consequence of that. Now, the first business I want to talk about is a company called Custodian, funnily enough. Custodian is a mobile service that enables me to organize the commercial relationships that I'm going to have with various sort of businesses and brands. Now, that could be my local butcher, it could be a local supermarket, it could be L'Oreal, it could be Nike, it could be whatever is very important to me. The point is, I give permission only to those businesses that I want to have a commercial relationship with. That means I'm no longer receiving advertising. What I'm getting is information that is timely, relevant, and contextual. But to do that, I have to actually give something away. And what I have to give away is my data. It's what Custodian calls a yode. And a yode is essentially a database file which holds my consumer and lifestyle preferences that I can update as often as I like. But essentially, it's the interface, the data interface between me and businesses that would be thinking about whether they could, should, or legitimately have a commercial transaction with me. But then the question is who owns my yode? Well, it's a bit like saying who owns my wife. The fact is, nobody. Because it's not about ownership. It's in fact about relationships. It's about the more that you put into something, the more that you will get out of something. So by definition, my yode is mine. And Custodian is the custodian of my data, which they protect, which is extremely important. So in the same way that my wife is herself, she is only one person, whereas by managing my yode, I can actually have relationships with a whole variety of different kind of businesses and brands which are highly relevant and personal to me, but on my terms. And that's extremely important. It goes back to the idea of living in a search economy and a world where we're looking for relevant knowledge and information. Now, the second story I wanted to give or share with you is about a company called Argos in the UK. It has many stores around Britain, and essentially what happens is I go into the store, I can flick through a catalogue, and I can say, right, well, I want to buy a Blackberry, I want a new playbook, I might want to sort of have a lawnmower, as you can see there on the front. But what I do is I order it. And the reason why their goods are so incredibly cheap is because actually they're all stored in a singular warehouse, rather than actually being stocked and displayed. But the problem is they found in 2004 that although they had a good business, there were lots of people that weren't coming back to pick up their goods, which meant that actually people were not paying in full for that inventory. So they had inventory, but they couldn't shift it. And they were also losing revenue. So what they did was they set up a very simple SMS reminder service. Dear Alan, please don't forget that on Friday your BlackBerry phone is now ready for collection or wherever it is. The amazing thing is that converted 55% of reservations into collections and actually generated $36 million in revenues for that company. Now, you would have thought that such amazing statistics would have meant that every single retailer in the UK would have an SMS reminder service. But as Alvin Toffler once said, the future's already here. It's just not evenly distributed at the moment. So every single retailer that wants to actually shift inventory, wants to bring footfall, can use something as simple as an SMS reminder service where someone says, oh, thank you very much, that was very useful, to drive the inventory and revenues of that business. Now, this is a service called Foursquare. I'm sure there's some of you in the room that knows what Foursquare is. There will be some maybe that do not. Foursquare is a mobile location-based social networking service. That's a bit of a mouthful. I have to sort of practice saying that. But essentially what it means is this, that I turn up at the Sheraton Hotel and I log on to Foursquare with my mobile, and what that then does is inform the friends that are in my social network group via Twitter and Facebook that I'm now at the Sheraton in Bogota. I can actually write a few little comments, which is one of the restaurants actually upstairs produces some nice food and the staff are extremely friendly. What happens is that if I check into this place more than anybody else, I become the mayor of that place. Now, what is starting to happen, in fact, is that people that run restaurants, cafes, bars, night spots, whatever, where people are frequenting these places and are becoming the mayors, are now starting to advertise that Nick B is the mayor of Southside. Now, why is he going to do that? Well, what he's saying is that Nick B comes here so much that, in fact, it's got a very convivial atmosphere. They do the best lattes in town, or even maybe the best Swiss rolls. But essentially, people are understanding that sharing that knowledge and that information is enabling their businesses in a different type of way. Now, there's no money that's exchanged hands. The other thing that's very interesting about Foursquare is that up until this year, they were in the under sub 100,000 numbers. And the reason was because they didn't allow anyone from anywhere to actually log in from any location around the world. And so they couldn't get the numbers to climb. Now, what they did was that at the beginning of this year was that they allowed anyone from anywhere to log in using their platform. And as a consequence of that, they went up to nearly 1 million users in under 3 months. So the idea of ubiquity is extremely important to their service. But how do they make money? Because it's free for me to use. Well, what they've done is they've done a lot of partnering with lots of different companies and businesses, creating services and providing knowledge and information that to certain parts of that Foursquare community will be seen as very valuable. So you can see there's HBO, there's the History Channel, there's New York Times, there's even Lucky Brand, which is a fashion retailer. So they're understanding that by kind of building up that audience in terms of numbers, enables them also then to do very different types of deals and partnerships around content and information with people that want to reach those people. It's a very different way of thinking about enterprise and commerce and advertising. And the next case history I want to share with you is from Japan. It's called Girls Walker. You cue the video, please. Thanks. Girls Walker is what I would call is built around a mass niche community of interest. Girls in Japan that are highly passionate and interested in fashion. Now, the fact is that on my smartphone device, I can find out all sorts of things about what's going on within the Girls Walker community. I'm encouraged to blog. I'm encouraged to advocate for brands. And twice a year, those girls in that mass niche community of interest that are fascinated by women's fashion come, 40,000 of them at a time, to a football stadium to celebrate the launch of that season's fashion. The girls walking down the Girls Walker catwalk actually aren't all highly paid fashion models. They in fact come from the Girls Walker community. And this is extremely important. Thanks very much.